Hey guys, Dave here. Welcome to the Centurions Review, the punk rock band of Wargame Review Institutions. This is Moscow 1941, The Enemy at the Gates from SPI. Got this at auction. It's a punch game, but hopefully it's complete. I think it is. October 1941, the onrushing German blitzkrieg has smashed Stalin's front lines. As reeling survivors, stiffened by elite Siberian units, fight desperately to slow the German panzers, Stalin decides to stay in Moscow to lead the defense. Now the unchecked German forces stand poised, ready to launch their final assault. The coming battle will be decisive. In this operational level recreation of the battle for Moscow, the players maneuver colorful cardboard playing pieces on a four-color map of the Smolensk-Moscow area. These playing pieces represent the actual panzer regiments, tank corps, infantry divisions, and other units used in the historical operation. Additional counters represent headquarters and cavalry units, ski troops, fortifications, and partisan organizations. A hexagonal grid superimposed on the map, blah, blah, blah. Alright, you get the idea. Each turn represents 4 days of combat, covering German and Soviet operations from October 1941 to the end of 42. So as number of players 2 to 4, playing time 4 to 6 hours. Jesus. Complexity level medium. Alright, here's the rule book here. Get to that in a second. Let's take a look at the player aids first. Here's German-Soviet player aid. Look basically the same. It's got the sequence of phase play, which is weather phase, temperature check, ground condition check. Then you have an initiative phase, which has IP collection, replacements and reinforcements, and then a first player phase, command movement, combat, reaction movement, reaction attacks, and then unactivated movement and recovery. And the second player does these phases 2 through 3, and then the end phase. Alright, here's your terrain effects on movement chart. Zone of control chart. Alright, so it depends on weather, what happens when you enter a zone of control. I don't know if I've never seen that before, but that's not common. Alright, here's a combat's results table. Force march table and combat modifiers, which some depend on terrain, some depend on weather, and so on and so forth. On the back here, it's got the German setup, and then the German reinforcement schedule. Looks like the Soviet player card is basically the same, except it's got Soviet setup on the back and Soviet reinforcement schedule. And then it's got Soviet units placed on railheads here. See what these maps look like. Pretty good sized map. I mean, it looks alright for an older map, I guess. It's got a CRT down here. Terrain key in the top left corner. And then on the side here, it's got the German replacement track. And this other stuff's printed on the other side here. Let's turn it around. Here's your weather table. Weather display, and then your German IP track, Soviet IP track, IP table, and initiative point chart. And here's your turn track all along the bottom here. Then finally we have the counters here. It comes with a counter. I don't know if the counter tray was included with the game or what, but they're in a counter tray. It's got standard NATO military symbols, nothing exceptional about these counters at all, but I think they're probably functional, and that's about all you can say about them. Let's see if they're double-sided. Looks like some already came out. Yeah, they're double-sided counters. Alright, let's take a look through this rule book here. We've already gone over what the sequence of play is. Alright, your counters have a command limit, command radius, and movement allowance. And here's your summary of unit types. Even got ski battalions here. Alright, sequence of play, like I said, we went over that. So now it's talking about the different steps in order here, such as initiative. Here's gaining initiative points, using them. And then here's all your weather rules. Look like weather is very important in this game. You got supply rules too. Alright, stacking limit for the German forces, it's 1 division plus 1 regiment or 4 regiments. For the Soviets, stacking limit is 2 divisions plus 1 other unit. For stacking purposes, the Soviet unit is equal to 2 smaller Soviet units, thus up to 5 Soviet units plus headquarters can be stacked in a hex. Alright, as far as overstacking, doesn't look like you can. You can never voluntarily end a unit's movement overstacked. If a unit has insufficient movement points to leave a hex, where it would be overstacked, it cannot enter that hex. Alright. Here's zones of control. Looks like you have locking and fluid zones of control. Here's your command rules. Alright, ground movement. Of course, there's weather and supply effects on it. It's even got rail movement. Looks like there's overruns too. Here's your combat procedure. Looks like there's reaction combat too. And then here it's going over the combat results, which are no effect, fatigue, retreat, or number of losses or retreat. I assume the number of retreat means the number of hexes you're retreating. Here it's going over into what fatigue means. Alright, here's all your reinforcement units. Looks like you can rebuild units too, hence the game lasting 4 to 6 hours like they say. Alright, there's fortifications. And it's got special rules for paratroops, and like all paratroops in war games, they can scatter. Alright, here's your partisan rules. And then there's victory conditions. Alright, as far as terrain, each player receives a number of victory points equal to twice the IP value of the towns and cities he controls at the end of the game. Controls means you're last to enter. As far as Moscow, the German player receives a 5 victory point per hex bonus for taking Moscow city hexes, even if these are later lost. And the German player receives 1 victory point for every Soviet army headquarters eliminated, and 2 for every Soviet headquarters, every front headquarters rather. And the Soviet player gets 1 victory point for each German division eliminated, and 2 for each German panzer division eliminated. And here's your level of victory. Victory point difference, 0 to 6 draw, 7 to 12 marginal, 13 to 18 decisive, 19 plus strategic. Alright, and there's some scenarios here. Looks like there's just 2 of them, October Blitz and the campaign game. And it's got a historical commentary and designer notes there. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. I don't know if I'll ever play this. Geez, I just don't have the 4 to 6 hours to play with, to play the game. So, thanks for watching, and have a good evening.